Works Wellness Department. I am presenting today stress management and hoping that you learn a thing or two about how to navigate stress in these difficult times. So first thing I usually like to talk about is just what is stress. So generally describes some physiological and psychological reactions to demands placed on a person. Stress is experienced negatively when the person doesn't have the resources that they need in order to meet those demands or change things. So not all stress is harmful. As some people may know, there are good stresses also. Different kinds of stress. So the first one is eustress, which is the good stress. So this type of stress is fun and exciting. It's something that you feel when you're skiing down a slope or you're, finishing a race. You feel good and you're happy, and then it goes away. It's pretty quick. The next type of stress is acute stress. So that is quick. It could be the good stress. It could be the finishing the race. It could be something a little bit more stressful in the sense of traffic. You get cut off by somebody. And it happens, it goes away quickly, so that's the acute portion. Episodic acute stress is stress that runs rampant in our lives. So it happens quickly, but it happens over and over again throughout the day. So it's termed as a chaotic way of life, kind of a drama queen is usually termed for this one, as well as an absent-minded professor. So you end up getting forgetful because of this. You constantly have these little stressors throughout your life. Chronic stress is stress that is never ending and inescapable. So for instance, if you're in a marriage that's very stressful, that's chronic. You can't escape it. It's always there. A taxing job is another example. And these are things that would lead to burnout because you can't get away from them. Stress inventory is something that I usually like for people to do if they're in person. So there are different types of stresses. So emotional stress, so nervousness, anxiety, moodiness, frequently freaking out or having a feeling of overwhelmingness, feeling out of control, that butterfly feeling, depression. Those are some examples of emotional stress. Physical symptoms, muscle tension. A lot of times people feel tension in their upper trapezius area, trouble sleeping, they're jittery, trouble breathing, they have loss or gain of appetite, weight gain or loss, dizziness, headaches. Those are some examples of the physical symptoms that stress can contribute to. Mental symptoms, lack of concentration, kind of overthinking or analyzing things, increased negative thoughts, so consistently, we'll get to that a little bit later, but consistently thinking on the negative ends of things, why me, that type of thing. Spiritual symptoms, faith or belief has less impact on you, and lack of connection with your faith, that can be a symptom also of stress. So general adaptation syndrome is kind of the process of stress. So there's the alarm stage. So your brain identifies the stressor, adrenaline kicks in, and you go into your fight or flight mode. It serves us to be able to react quickly in the presence of stress, and your heart rate increases, your blood flow increases, your muscles tense up. So that's kind of the first stage. Adaptation stage, the stressor remains present. So you need to cope with these ongoing demands. Cortisol increases, and that helps to sustain that energy boost that you need to fight or flight off this stressor. Exhaustion stage is when things persist and your body doesn't have that chance to recover. So, that would be the one we talked about where it's never ending. Brain is less able to balance thoughts and emotions. Immune system gets out of whack. damage at a cellular level. So you're susceptible to premature aging, digestive difficulties, insomnia, heart rate, heart disease, and cancer are some things that can result in that. Stage 2 and 3 of the stress is it can change the way you think about things. So you get into a defensive mode. So I touched upon this earlier. Just things that are threats, and you tend to have negative thoughts that spiral out of control. So what does she want from me now? You're at work and you automatically think when someone enters your office that they're out to kind of get you. They're there and they're there to increase your stress level. I can never find a decent parking spot. I'm always the last one invited to this meeting, or things like that. You just automatically spiral things into a negative brain process. It keeps your body from being able to relax, and your muscles always remain tense. Breathing becomes shallow, and you hold your breath more without even thinking about it. Stress and weight gain. So stress increases the risk of weight gain and sabotages our weight loss efforts. So 2 factors that affect our weight. We usually make poor food choices when we're stressed just because of the increase in the cortisol levels. And that increases your body fat. And then stress can derail the regulation of the body's hormones and your metabolism, which also make it more likely to gain weight. So what happens when we do stress eat? We eat for comfort and to increase our energy production. So a lot of times we'll go towards a higher carbohydrate, higher fat food. So we'd go for something such as cake or something that it's going to give us a quick boost of energy. Our blood sugar is going to rise, and then it's going to drop down quickly. So you have a high, and then you drop down lower and have even less energy. So it just kind of keeps going in that pattern. You multitask throughout the day, kind of continuing to seek those stimulating foods. And again, like I said, it's a temporary fix. It increases your serotonin levels, and your body responds to those rises in blood sugar by constantly having to counteract it. It secretes insulin, and then you have the low blood sugar dips. So then the cycle continues. So that relates into a vicious cycle of fat storage. Your primary stress organ is your adrenal glands. So these produce hormones that affect our development, growth, and ability to deal with stress. So the 2 parts of it are the medulla, which produces norepinephrine and epinephrine, and the cortex, which produces cortisol and affects your blood pressure, heart rate, and your blood sugars. So if you can identify, you identify a stressor, your medulla secretes the norepinephrine and the epinephrine, and then the cortex secretes the cortisol. Active sympathetic nervous system would increase the rapid breathing, elevated heart rate, blood pressure, blood glucose, and increases the blood flow, decreases your rate of digestion and reproduction. So what is the role of the cortisol? High levels of this is in a catabolic effect. So glycogenesis occurs. So fat and protein are broken down into glucose, and it's used as energy. This breaks down lean muscle, which reduces your metabolic rate. So the less muscle mass you have, the less amount of calories you can eat at one given time. It increases your blood sugar, and then again increases fat storage, specifically in the abdominal area, which we all don't want. So less muscle tissue, fewer calories you can eat just to maintain your normal life. So what can we do? Diaphragmatic breathing and ratio breathing are 2 techniques that you can do anywhere that can help you with the stress. So the role of the diaphragm is to help the lungs pull air in fully and expand. So a lot of us breathe and we use these tiny little neck muscles when we breathe because we don't have proper posture and we will kind of hunch over a little bit so you can't fully expand your diaphragm. So you should fully be able to expand your belly while you're breathing, and as you exhale, decrease that with proper posture. So if you're standing upright, usually I have people stand up and do this. Hold your hands on your sides and you're going to take a deep breath in. As you do that and your lungs fill, you should feel your stomach expanding, and then as you exhale, you should feel your stomach shrink. So as you do that, consciously stand up and do it with your hands on your sides, because that's how you're going to learn how to properly breathe. Ratio breathing is one thing to engage in the diaphragmatic breathing. So it's a 1 to 2 rhythm. So for every in count, double it to breathe out. So we can practice with doing 2 breaths in, increasing the diaphragm, and then as we exhale, we'll exhale for twice as long. So, example, we'll do 2 seconds in and exhale for 4 seconds. So, go ahead and stand up and hold your arms right on the side of your ribs here, and you're just going to breathe in. 2-second count, and as you exhale, you're going to exhale for 4 seconds. So let's do it a few times. Inhale for 2. Inhale for 2. Exhale for 4. One more time. Inhale for 2. Exhale for 4. So just by doing that even 3 to 4 times, you'll feel your blood pressure start to decrease, your heart rate start to decrease, and you just have a sense of calm. Loosens up your muscles also, and it just kind of makes you aware of your breath and makes you slow down. So it's going to decrease your stress. Positive and negative breaths, so these are 2 other techniques. So negative breaths are basically inhale deeply and you immediately exhale. So you hold your breath for 3 to 5 seconds after you exhale. So you keep your lungs empty for longer. This helps reduce the amount of oxygen in your blood. Positive breaths are the opposite. You're going to inhale deeply, hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and then exhale. So this keeps your lungs full longer, and this is going to help increase the amount of oxygen in your blood. So it's a personal preference. There's not one that's better than other. It's just try both and see which one you like more. Progressive muscle relaxation is another technique. So it's used to reduce anxiety by alternatively tensing up the muscles and then relaxing them. So this encompasses both physical and mental engagement. So the goal is to calm those with anxiety with one step. So you may feel frustrated, rushed, or have that increase in anxiety, and we'll do a small sample of this, and in the PowerPoint that you will there's a link in here. So basically you go through your muscles in your body, and you can do just 1 or 2, or you can work through your whole body. So for instance, clenching your fists could be the sample that we'll use at the moment. So just tensing up those muscles, clench the fists and tense it up. Think about that stressor, and then you're just going to release and think about letting it go. And you can even just do that same exact movement a couple of times. So tense up the fists, tense up the muscles, and release. So that's another technique. Other techniques to do are the 4 A's for managing stress. So avoiding the stressor, altering the stressor, adapt to the stressor, and accepting the stressor. So first one is the avoiding the stressor. So learning how to say no. This is a big one for people. A lot of people kind of term themselves as yes people. You know, can you cover my shift? Yes, even though you already have an extra shift that week. Or consistently not being able to say no increases the stress that you have and that you're putting on your body. So learning how to have self-care and knowing when it's just too much and you can't always say yes. Delegating tasks. So if you have enough projects on your plate and you can't take on another one and your boss comes to you and says, hey, can you have this done by Friday? Ask them, say, can I offer this to somebody else on the team so that I can get these other projects done that I need to get done? You know, it doesn't hurt to ask, and being able to delegate things is a good tool to have. Being able to manage your time, so, you know, trying to outline your day. How are things going to fit into the day? When do you anticipate being able to get things done? Trying to organize it out into a list of some sort. Communicating effectively, that goes back to the boss example, just saying, you know, I can probably get it done by next week, but this Friday may be a stretch because I already have X, Y, and Z on my plate. Learning to let go of certain things. So, you know, being okay with letting go, that you can't have everything, you can't control everything. And then avoiding people who stress you out if it's possible, and you know that certain people in your life, let's say, you know, family members or something that you can avoid seeing as often, you know, try to make it a point to not go visit them just out of obligation all the time, but trying to set up some personal boundaries so that they're not increasing your stress when you don't need that. You don't need that additional stress. And then getting organized. So even just going back to your desk. If your desk is chaotic and you can't find anything, tidying that up will help you feel less stressed when you first get in for the day, because you can find things, you know where everything is. It does make you have that internal sense of organization if you externally have things organized. The next one is altering the stressor. So changing your environment. So let's say, you know, if you go into the office and, you know, where you have to work on a project, you're in this place that's very loud and you can't get anything done. Find if there's another space, there's a different environment you can get stuff done, or ask if you can do it remotely. You can get some stuff done at home before you come into work, or vice versa. Journaling is a good one. So writing down your thoughts and how you feel, and you know, just kind of getting it out on paper sometimes can be very helpful, so that you just don't keep it all in and you know, feel that sense of anxiety. Focusing on the positives, so trying to reframe your brain to, instead of thinking negatively, reframe it to a positive thought. So, you know, why did that person ask me to do that? You know, instead of saying it in that sense, you could say, wow, obviously they think I do a good job because they seem to always come to me. So, you know, I should be proud of my work. And then altering your response. So that links right into that example. So altering how you respond to somebody can make a difference. Adapting to the stressor. So if you have a coworker, let's say, who is consistently stressing you out, they're very negative or whatnot, you know, kind of lowering your expectations for that person and just thinking, wow, they must have a very stressful life and I don't want to bring that onto me. I don't want to feel their stress, so I'm just going to kind of link the other one and avoid them if possible, and kind of alter the way I expect them to react because they seem very negative. Reframing your thoughts, and then just kind of being flexible, being able to kind of roll with the punches and go with things instead of increasing your anxiety. The last A is accepting the stressor. So just understanding that you can't always control things. If you have to go into work, there are people that you have to work with, and that is what it is. You can't control that. So being okay and just accepting that and trying again to just change your response to it. not trying to take things personally. So again, when you're at work or something, people are going to be there and they're going to maybe have a negative attitude. Just know that it's not because of you. It's usually because of external factors that aren't directly involved with you. They might have a stressful home life or things that they can't avoid, so they bring it with them. And one thing that does help is kind of having a positive mantra for yourself. So have like a 3 to 5 word sentence even that just is something that you consistently think of when you are kind of spiraling into a negative way. So just have a little phrase that you kind of say in your head to yourself that makes you reframe to positive. Like, you know, it could even just be like, I am positive. I am going to reframe this. And then if you say that to yourself, it's going to bring you back to, I know what I have to do. You know, I learned my 4 A's, so I know how to reframe this in my mind from the negative to the positive. So we've talked about some techniques for stress management: the deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, visualization, and guided imagery. Massage is one that's a good way. Other people enjoy acupuncture or chiropractor visits or things like that. So all things like that can help relieve stress. Exercise is a good one to relieve the stress. Meditation, and there's many other ways. I'm sure you could think of examples that help you yourself. So trying to break the cycle of stress. So the goal is to find ways to decrease the stress in the moment over time to reframe your brain. So one thing that can help in the day-to-day is just mindfulness. I think a lot of us tend to multitask. We always are trying to do, 2 things at once. Okay, we're home, we're taking care of the kids, we're doing work, we're, I could probably quickly throw this little laundry in, and we are just not mindful at all of what we're currently doing instead of just focusing on one thing at a time. So being focused on the here and the now, placing non-judgmental attention on whatever sensations are coming into your awareness. So even eating-wise, if you're eating food, you're eating your lunch or whatnot, just eat and know that you're eating, and try not to be watching TV while you're eating or doing other things, checking email, because sometimes, have you ever eaten a meal and then you don't even realize that you finished it? You're like, is that sandwich gone? Wow, I don't even remember eating it. So just trying to focus on one task at a time if possible. It can change the structure of the brain itself. Normally, stressful occurrences are not perceived with the same emotional intensity or negativity if you're focusing on just one thing at a time. Greater sense of calm overall if we do this, and enhanced ability to think more clearly. So all of those things can just restructure things over at once, but over time it will. It's a practice and not a solution. So one thing I had mentioned earlier was a mindful body scan. So again, you'll get a link in the PowerPoint that has an example of this, but it's a method used to help bring about a deeper awareness in the present moment. So placing awareness on bodily sensations at one body part at a time. Most people do well integrating it into their morning or evening routine. So sometimes it's helpful if you can't fall asleep that you would do this body scan. So the example starts from the toes up. I usually like to start from the head down, but you just walk through every body part, and we can do a sample. You just relax down the body. So I'll start head to toe. So usually I just have people kind of get in a comfortable position and try to just start with taking a few deep breaths. I do usually have you close your eyes just because you're less likely to wander and think about other things if your eyes are shut. Usually I'd have you sit, and you're just going to think about relaxing down your forehead, working down around your eyes. Release any tension through your cheeks. Moving down around your mouth. Continue to take deep breaths in and exhale down along the sides of your neck. Moving into the upper shoulders. Feel your shoulders lower as you release any tension build up in your neck and upper back. Continue to release any tension in your chest as you take a deep breath in and exhale. Release any tension in your upper arms, moving down into your forearms, all the way down to the tips of your fingers. Continue to relax down your back, along your spine, into your mid-back, working into your low back. As you continue to breathe, decrease any tension in your abdominal area. Releasing any tension in your hips, down your glutes and the back of your legs through your hamstrings and into your calves. Continue to release any tension through the front of your legs where your quads are, and down your legs around your knees and through your shins. Continue to release any tension through the heel of your foot, all the way through the arch to the tips of your toes. Continue to take deep breaths in. As you feel any leftover tension, just release from your body. Slowly begin to open your eyes. So that would be a small sample of the body scan and just learning how to do that. That's something you can do even in your office or a quiet spot, and it just takes a minute or two. It is a good thing to use if you can't fall asleep at night. You're laying in bed, you can do that, and hopefully by the time you get to your toes, you're asleep. Another thing is guided imagery that people enjoy. So instead of doing a body scan, they imagine themselves in a peaceful place, such as the beach or a nice park that they enjoy going to that's relaxing to them. If you have a favorite spot that you go to every year on vacation or things like that, you can imagine yourself there, and it's similar to the guided imagery. It's similar to the body scan, but instead of scanning through your body, you're imagining yourself in a peaceful place. Involves all of your senses, emotions, and physical body. So thinking about what it smells like, what it feels like. Do you feel the wind? Do you feel the sun? You know, all of those senses are kind of brought into it. It can reduce your blood pressure, lower your cholesterol, glucose levels, and heighten short-term immune cell activity. It does help reduce headaches and pain that can improve your sport and arts. May accelerate your weight loss and reduce anxiety because of the cortisol, like we had spoke about earlier. And it has been shown to reduce effects of chemo, such as the nausea, depression, and fatigue. And last one is the creative visualization. So it's a technique of using your imagination to visualize specific behaviors or events occurring in your life. So creating a detailed schema of what you desire and visualizing it over and over again with all of the senses to help improve that. So for instance, like a golf swing or something of the sorts. So trying to think of things like that and just always running over it in your brain so that you can get better at it. So that is all for our stress lecture today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Usually in person we have a little bit more interaction back and forth, but if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me at tiffany.moore@wdhospital.org. Thank you. Have a great day.